Hi, okay, so let's get through the rest of these. I have had my jello shots and I feel a little more relaxed. But that was kind of disturbing earlier, huh? The one we left off on. This will be part 3 of the Sandy Hook videos for the photos. Going over the Adam Lanza home as the documents that were released via the FBI. Most recently, what you're looking at are photos of Miss Lanza's bathroom. This was the crime scene as the feds were taking photographs for their case file for their investigation. You'll see these photos and the discussion about them in part 2 of this series. I plan on wrapping it up in this one. The last one ended kind of abruptly when it was brought to my attention as I was looking at the photos, walking into the bedroom of Miss Lanza, which is where we are here, that the first photo actually was shown with what appears to be her still in the bed. Hadn't seen that before. And now I've been busy, so I haven't looked ahead. So we're picking right back up to this point. These dark pictures are the redacted ones. And if you click on the link in the description box to the original page, you'll see where it will tell you what those were. There's a list that will tell you kind of like what the redacted ones are. Okay, so we're going to see much more of the same that we've seen in the previous videos, with the exception of we don't see all the boxes and bags in Mom's bedroom. But we do see a lot of furniture and trinkets and things positioned very neatly. So, and I guess this is where the crime scene of the crime scene is really shown. So, nothing unusual about this, ironing board. And I'm not sure exactly what time of day these pictures were taken, but this was immediately after the shooting, as it were, on the 12th of December, I'm sorry, the 14th of December, 2012. Water bottles on the floor, just things out of place. And again, as I said before, I'm not critiquing the fashion sense or anything superficial like that. I'm just looking at what doesn't seem to make sense. Orchids are held up by those clips, a dying orchid. I thank you, Maggie, people that are leaving comments back to previous videos regarding some of the questions I had just in my narrative going through the photos. Okay, so I'm going to try not to make this so dreadfully long. This closet looks like a more appropriate one, if you ask me, of what might seem to be typical in a lived-in home, with some exceptions, but I'm not an expert in critiquing closets now. I mean, it seems kind of typical to me. The bedroom area does seem more typical for her, not for anyone else, but for her. And of course, you have to kind of look and see. Again, I mentioned earlier in the other video, it would be really helpful. Like this here, this what looks like a blazer or whatnot, purple and black check. It would be so helpful to know people who actually knew Miss Lanza, to see, does any of this look familiar? Let me see if I can't pull up this This is the thumbnail. I think I'm going to use, I used it for the second part. But it's important to note when you're looking through these that this is what has been said. Okay, Nancy never, this is Adam Lanza's mother. Nancy never let anyone come into her home. If one of the neighbors was picking up Adam, Nancy would tell them to wait in the driveway. However, you see this authentication required. You know, before in my last video, where I went off and I said, fuck you, NSA. I say that. I mean, whenever things come up, or in my emails, whenever I keep getting booted off, I generally make some innuendo to any sort of spying agency. No, it's not because I think I'm important like that. Fuck you. We all are. We all are as important or not important as the next person. They just collect data. That's all it is. It's not because they're reviewing it because they care. No, it's just because they put it in their files just in case. They have like a file for me. They have a file for you. I'm sure of it. So that's all that was. And I'm sure to say hello just because maybe one day someone will see it. Anyway, Nancy never let anybody into the home. And if one of the neighbors were picking up Adam, she'd tell them to wait in the driveway. And this is great. However, she never cleaned his room nor was allowed in his room. Now, in the last part, not the one I just posted, but the one before last, we seen his room, and his room was nothing. There was nothing in it. Just, you know, school kid shooter clothes in the closet, which wasn't really a closet, and trash bags on the windows. Pretty much. That was it. Adam's room was his personal space that no one else was allowed into. Go back to the first, to number 1, Sandy, you know, part 1, and look at that room, or just click on the link in the description box and roll through them yourself, and you'll see why that's just, you know, it's just not even reasonable to say. Okay, so here we are in Nancy Lanza's closet, where things don't seem too unusual. And not going to zoom in on all of these things to pick apart like dates of things, even though I think that with a scrutinizing eye, one might be able to more readily, maybe I should blow these up a little more readily look and see, like if this seems like something from like, you know, 1992 or something to that nature. It'd be important to look at the GIS maps, which, you know, I did several years back now, to look and see when homes were sold and bought, how long people lived there, tax records. It's all public information. But at the same time, that public information, I mean, it'd be so easy for the right people to alter that and doctor that information. There's a certain feel to the home, which I've, you know, mentioned in the previous videos. It just seems really staged. You know, I guess a lot of these photos might be seemingly redacted because this is the crime scene. And the one photo that I had left off with in the last video, I mean, seemingly would have showed her perhaps laying in the bed before they removed her. It looks untouched here. And again, I am not an expert or even probably novice at blood splatter. So my only experience with that, which was a pretty treacherous one, I guess, was first night I was doing an internship. There was in a trauma in a major city, there was a gunshot victim. He had put a gun to his head, and, you know, his brain matter was hanging out. It was very jarring, to say the least. Talk about getting thrown into work. And that, I don't remember much about it, really, except some just graphic details of having to deal with getting information, the capacity I was in at the hospital. But I just think this room looks so sterile for having someone shot. I mean, you're talking about this is the foot of her bed, and you'll see in a second, like even the side of her bed, and where you see the blood just seems just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem, and doesn't seem right. And you see the gun on the floor. Is that a 22? I think that's what it was. And photos. And when we get over to the dresser, which is near her, okay, we see her slippers right there next to the bed, because that seems typical. And I zoomed in. It wasn't on this one. Again, when I actually scrutinized the photos, it was through a collection that had 600 and some in it. And this collection has 472. And these are a little bit different than the other ones. So my first thought was, like, where's the blood? Not to be gory. I mean, this isn't to be gory. This is just to be factual. This is to look and see, like, what happened? Is this true? And if you look real close, you can see there's some sort of discoloration on the barrel, the tip of the barrel. And then there are little droplets, but if he just dropped the gun there, like flat down, and there was blood there on the barrel, it wouldn't have dried already, right? This is a white carpet, or cream colored. There would be some sort of smearing, I would think. Just really elementary type observation, where you have a gun casing right here. And I haven't read the report yet that goes along with this to see, what they specify. I'm going to look at the photos first, and I'm going to read that and see what stands out. But maybe someone can confirm. Is that like a 22? Not sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to go back so far. I really sped that up. Did we go through that? Gosh, I'm sorry. It's not because I was drinking. Oh, maybe a little bit. Okay, so here we are back to this. So we see that. We see the gun casing right there. And they have a better shot of it here. And there's just one that they're showing. But I noticed in another file there were like 5. There were 5 in this section. Is that the one where they go over? Nope, sorry, wrong one. Well, there was another section where they went over and they showed, like, I think it was like 5 that they took out. I don't know if they took those out of her or what. So this is the nightstand next to the bed. And you really have to zoom in. This is a very close nightstand. And the things that I found interesting about this initially, which kind of followed through from the first segment, was that telephone line. The telephone line right here, like it was brought all the way upstairs. And apparently it's, plugged in here. There's something going on with the telephone. But the line draped from downstairs all the way upstairs, but it's actually unplugged. There's something just off about that. And then you see when you zoom in, these are high quality photos, really. So you can zoom in and see their tiny splatters of blood, like right there, right there, right there. I mean, but And I believe there was some like on the furniture itself. But just there was, again, I'm not an expert at this, and I don't know like what kind of damage shooting somebody at close range would do. If it was a close range, I need to read the report. But again, I'm just looking at the pictures now. Looking at the pictures and taking it in, like, what do I see? I'm going to go and read specifically what it says about how that was carried out. It's what they're saying. And got redacted pictures. I'm going to apologize ahead of time if there's something that comes up in this segment of photos that are just really gory or whatever. Again, I'm not doing it for the gore effect. I'm just doing it to see like how realistic and questioning what went on that morning. Okay, so they skipped to her closet effects. I mean, that seems pretty average. Just, again, the situation where you have things shoved up in here and things are disorganized, but other areas are just completely organized. This seems more typical of what you would see, but like some sort of order throughout the house, and you just don't see that. You just see going through in our clothes. Okay. And I'm only guessing that this is probably typical of what they do when they go into a crime scene. They take photos of everything and document everything. Both seem to match. Everything seems, relatively normal, except their suitcase is on the floor. Wonder where she was going, if she was taking a trip. Was she coming back from a trip? Where did she think she was going? Did somebody tell her she was going someplace? Had she been someplace recently? Was she getting her house organized to be packed up by professional movers? Perhaps. Okay, so we just see kind of typical sort of arrangements. Some things are very neat, other things are very much not. Some things have a lot of order and coordination, other things don't. Just looking into seeing how consistent that one might be. Again, not a judgment, but a consistency. And I'm not going to go through her lingerie or anything, but yeah. The lingerie can tell something about, to people, what weird things they might have. Everything's marked. So she's obvious. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but just kind of looking at the disarray of certain things and the order of others, one would have to think, what's going on there? I'd like to see how many of some of these clothes, they just seem like I have a lot of different, my closet's very eclectic, so I'm not one to talk about someone's different styles. It has been to be the same, for sure. So, I know nothing about this woman, really. Does anyone? And this is the other side. Now, at some point, I know they take the covers off the bed, because the photo I left off on the 667 batch had, a determination of photos that showed the area, which would allude to where she was shot in bed. And at that point, there was no covers on the bed. So these are all redacted. And I'm hoping those are in here because I think they're relatively important. Showing the alarm. You know, the exterior of their house, you see in the first segment, it sits up on the back end of the cul-de-sac, right? Kind of out of the way. I have a feeling very few people, and they took these pictures of the thermostats, very few people, there's some message or something in that, I feel. I don't know what it is. They were sure to take pictures of all the thermostats in every single one. I guess all of them to see what it was. I know there are a couple of you out there that subscribe, that watch these videos, that actually have a lot of information about Illuminati type stuff and of the like. I don't know if you see anything with that. Yeah, this is definitely, this book here was one of them that they actually decided to tag, these old papers of the town. And then you have Amish Grace, How Forgiveness Transcended Tragedy. Boy, that's kind of a weird book, just to be kind of around in a murder scene, isn't it? Especially since it looks like it was out and being actively read. I would think so. Registered Job Department. Now, you think you think I should zoom in on that, huh? Like, what does that say? You don't care if it takes like another hour and a half to go through the video. You want to see what it says? You can click on the link in the description box to read this. April 8th, indications, hours beginning 9 a.m., Eastern New York, fare increasing. This definitely looks like clippings from an old publication, nothing that would be new. And Hips Ferguson discharges shotgun at a party of school children. Oh shit, it might have been a murder. Alright, so this is, I have not read this before, so yeah, it seems like it's something that should be read, right? This morning at 10:30, the children of St. Mary's parochial school were playing on the Gidney Avenue side of the building during recess when James H. Ferguson, better known as Hippie, was seen coming up on the opposite side of the street. He was carrying a double-barreled shotgun, and when opposite, a group of boys and girls placed the gun to his shoulder, took aim and fired into the group of boys and girls, none of whom were more than 12 years of age. After discharging the weapon, Ferguson ran away without stopping to ascertain what the result of his dastardly act had been. Stopped to ascertain what the result of his dastardly act had been. The aim taken was a good one, and several of the children were wounded, the most serious of the injuries being sustained by Frank Barnes, aged 10 years, residing on Lander Street. He received upwards of 20 shots in various parts of the upper portion of the body, 11 being in the face, 3 in the neck, several in the ear, cutting away a small portion, 2 in the scalpel, and 1 directly in the edge of the eye. The right-handed received a dozen, and the thick woolen jacket was filled with these small pieces of lead. Can I just say now, I'm not sure what year this was, but the thorough scope of journalism in this publication far surpasses anything that we've seen in the past decade. Joseph Stapleton and Lawrence Tobin are known to have been injured, but it is not certain at present whether any of the others were hurt or not. The sisters in charge of the school sent the wounded children home at once, and the Barnes boy was taken to police headquarters to enter a complaint against Ferguson in order to secure his arrest. Where was I? The little fellow was a sad-looking sight, covered as his face, hands, and neck were with blood. The shot were of the kind known as small bird shot, about the size of a pinhead, and owing to the distance intervening between the person shooting and his victim, and the shot had not it doesn't pick up right there. This is a different story. It should have been the shot had not penetrated. That would be the next line. I'm not sure. This is kind of weird. These are okay, Shep's asking me, I can only see part of this message. With all due respect, why Sandy Hook still with everything that's going on? Yeah, why Sandy Hook still? Because why 9/11 still? One day it's going to be why Vegas still? Because it's important. Because every single one of these events are important. Because today's Vegas was yesterday's Sandy Hook and will be tomorrow's Niagara Falls. I'm just suggesting that this is important. People get away with things and they keep perpetuating new events because nobody stops to go and really dig. Nobody keeps it alive. Once upon a time, it was hard to keep these things alive because there was no internet, there was no social media, there was no connectivity between parties who would actually be interested in keeping it alive. There was no voice. When the voice of something goes away, so does the spirit of it, so does everything else. And then it just becomes nothing. And this was something. And I don't think it should go away. And even though it's so crazy to even why harp about it now, there's so much else going on, that's exactly why. That's exactly why it needs to be talked about now, because I think it's directly related. I think the same players that had a hand in these events very well likely had a hand in the Sandy Hook events, and in the Vegas shooting events, and I think it's going to continue to get worse. And I think that we shouldn't look at, I think they're each mutually exclusive in and within themselves with certain aspects of their definition and their scope. But when you step back and you look at the entire picture, they are interconnected. So I think it's important not to just let this go. I think it's an important piece of information. It's like an ingredient, per se, in a recipe. Shep, that's why. I'm glad we got that taken care of, and I don't have to give that to you in haiku. Okay? So, going back to this, I don't see a date on this, but it's obviously an older publication. This says it's Newburgh, Friday, April 10th. Now, this is Washington, April 10th. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hype Ferguson pleads not guilty. The wounded. This is like after. This is like a follow-up because this is the 10th, right? And that it says the shooting of the school children on Gidney Avenue yesterday morning by Hippie Ferguson created no little excitement in the 4th Ward, and it was fortunate indeed for the old scoundrel that none of the victims were seriously injured, for it would have gone hard with him. Indeed, had it been otherwise. As it was, there was some talk of forming a vigilance gang last night and giving it to the gunner a dose of what he had himself attempted, the administration of satisfaction without recourse to law. Wiser counsels prevailed, however, and it was left for the courts to give him what he deserved. Ferguson is a man of 71 years of age and very irritable. This has made him, for some time past, the butt of ridicule for children on the street. And when the annoyance occurs, he assaults or insults the first child or person he meets. We have been told a dozen instances in which he has grossly insulted ladies, and are cognizant of an instance in which he kicked and beat a 4-year-old child he found playing in a hallway on South Street. These were like olden times. The bruises being plainly seen for days after the kicking occurred, some children had been calling out "hippie" at him as he passed along the street, and he gave chase. They entered the hallway, and he passed through the building. Hippie followed, and when he got in the way, I don't know where it goes. And when he got in the way, only this little girl, he had wreaked his revenge upon her. This can be proven, if need be, as can the insults to ladies under the circumstances to Counselor Seeger. Had a bad case on his hands to defend. Judging from the line of examination before the recorder this morning, the attempt will be made to prove that he did not pull the trigger of the gun. Sometimes it goes back up here. See, it doesn't follow up. And it talks about printers and ink. Hey, Jake McMillan. So, yeah, I guess this other page is, I don't know if, I'd like to see a year on these. I'd like to see a year posted. But that's interesting, though. Okay, this was obviously in the bedroom of Nancy Lanza. I mean, that's really beyond bizarre, isn't it now? Isn't it? Isn't it? The moms are reading this. What tie? There's got to be something in the report about this. Now I'm going to have to read this. I mean, is this book maybe about that? Maybe. Maybe that's what that is. I'm not familiar with it. Amish Grace, How Forgiveness Transcended Tragedy. Going to be looking that one up on the Amazon. You know, as I said in the first part, lots of different video game technology type stuff. A lot of it seems very dated. Maybe inoperable, things that aren't even in use anymore. Then of course we have lots and it really isn't typical to have a single mom with boys to be the one taking the boys out to the range. Now I say that, you have to understand this. Now I say that from a perspective where I take my son, I haven't went for a little while with them, but I mean I would take him to the range and we would shoot 500 rounds at a time when we would go. But that's unusual too, because, the one guy that runs the outdoor range, I mean, he would talk with me, and because it was unusual, everybody else was there with their dads or whatever, or families or brothers or friends, or two parents or whatever. But so it's not going to be that common, and I'm kind of like in a redneck area, so I can only guess that where they were, it was really highly unusual. Just saying, again, fact. But then you have all this. And Adam, I'm sorry, when you look at this picture of him, it just doesn't click. He doesn't look like someone who's like, yeah, Mom, I want to go shooting, And I don't know anything about her, but everything that I'm looking at, it doesn't suggest that it's consistent. Consistency is what I'm looking at here. Now, this looks like the same gun case that was found in the bedroom that was downstairs, or the extra room that was downstairs. So I'm not sure if we're going to go back to the mom's bedroom or not again. I think it's important that we do, because it shows the bed and it shows like the blood stain on the bed and like some more of the blood splatter, which just seems very insignificant to the type of, assault that went on there. Glock, pistols. So there was, reports had suggested, and links in the description box, that they were, they had met several guns, several weapons. She had bought them for him. I like to see the dates of those. I wonder if that's all in there. Can't wait to look in there and see. I'm sure it is. If it's a comprehensive report, it would be. And, I don't know what those are. It seems like all of these things are related to, it's an AccuTrigger, related to weapons and guns. Yeah, because that's like, where I have all my stuff in my closet. I have room for all that, just for shotgun shells to have their own individual areas with the boxes. It's just, this was in the other room. Was this in, this was in Adam's room, wasn't it? I believe so. This goes back from the second segment. That was his closet. He had the books. He had those. Those were from his closet, which is the room. It looked like it was the room right next to her room, which then had the garbage bags on the window, on all the windows, and nothing but the same outfit to wear. And then, of course, they set up the situation where he's, okay, I'll reiterate this because this was kind of important. A few years earlier, in 9th grade, it was said that the NSA or CIA came to visit Adam at his home after he hacked into their computer system. And there was banter back and forth between, not sure if it was the NSA or CIA, is what they say, that he could maybe work for them one day. I wonder if that day was December the 14th, 2012. Just wondering. So that was his room stuff. This is back to the bed, seemingly the bathroom that he had used. I found the Huggies interesting. School shooter clothes, khaki pants, dark shirts, and random things. This was his ID. We've seen that before. I mean, obviously, they're going to move some stuff around, I guess. I don't know what the rules are. It's like, don't disturb anything. Or take pictures as needed. That was his ID. So these pictures in this collection, this section 4, and I'm not sure how it's listed whenever you click on the FBI link. I really want to go back to finding the 666 or 667 because it shows clearly that the bedroom scene, it has more photos in it. And here are those bags and gun cases. More redacted. Here we are back again. Yeah, train your brain to get happy. Books laying on the floor so intricately next to, slippers, which would indicate we know whose room this is. This so looks contrived. I mean, when you're trying to set up a psychological profile of an unhappy person or person with mental problems, but then again, I mean, is that a 22? Or is that what, I don't know. I don't have a rifle. I have shotguns, some revolvers and stuff, but I don't have I would have a rifle if I had someone to show me how to clean it, take care of it, and use it, but yeah, obviously this is the clip in that, and so they get real close up on this. It looks like it looks like almost like it's new. But it'd be interesting. I'd like to see all the guns that were owned by the Lanzas, and I'd like to see, when they were purchased. Yeah, I'm sure they have that record. Little shell casing right there. On the floor. I mean, the floor looks pristine. How you can have the casing there and you don't see any blood at all. I haven't seen this picture. I did see the ones that go upstairs to the crawl space. They're not showing that bedroom scene yet. And, stuff up here looks, much like the same suitcases and stuff you'd imagine seeing in an attic area. Boxes. Now these boxes look a little more realistic to me. Like they look like a series of boxes that came up into the attic more organically. They're not all homogeneous. So there's something to be said about that. It just looks, this looks more typical. Again, the things aren't the same. They were taken up in over time. A lot of this dated kind of equipment. A lot of gloves. Maybe these are the gloves too. Maybe I don't know. Are these gloves that the FBI agents brought and stuck around for everybody to use, generously, or they were in places like underneath the sink and so forth, which made me think that they weren't. And we see that in another spot. Ryan, howdy. I thought that was going to say howdy doody, Comey. Howdy doody, Comey. Thought that was going to say howdy doody, but it doesn't. It says Ryan Lanza, which is the brother, which, yes, I'll go ahead and acknowledge now. There were reports that would suggest that Ryan was away. And there's speculation from persons who question this story that Adam ever lived. Like it was only just Ryan. So these photos are clearly out of order because they keep going back and forth to different things. Oh, but here's another casing here. And then the clip is out. I guess they took that out because it was in the other one. That was just to show. I mean, he just shot. I don't know how many are in this clip. I believe that there was 5 discharged that they showed in another segment. And, they're spending a lot of time showing this was the weapon, right? This is the weapon. This is was left right next to the bed. Was brought to school. It was all spelled out, crystal clear. For anybody who's looking at these photos. Of course, these are all redacted pictures of the scene. And I don't know who has these. This was obviously obtained through FOIA. And I'm not sure if there's like an agency that actually gets to review and retain this information, or, I mean, obviously someone has privy to here? Is it somebody that is trustworthy? All right, so I think these are, what number? 401. I don't know how long this video is so far. So here's this phone that wasn't plugged in. There's 46 calls on. Remember, because before, or this is in the other room. Yeah, I'm not sure where this phone is right now. Because then we're going to go to his games, because I think, we have to set up the fact that these video games drove him crazy. Grand Theft Auto, which I've seen this. It is a violent game, Like, I think you get points for killing. The more violent you are, the more points you get. I mean, I think that's very thwarted. I do. I don't think it does anything for your neuroplasticity or whatever they want to say it is. It helps. And I'm not familiar with any of the other ones, but Call of Duty, there was a lot of speculation about violence and games and guns. Interesting, huh? Boy, this supports all those theories, doesn't it? Now, if I were doing a paper on teenagers and violence in video games, I would use this file. I would. And this is the this is the downstairs. All those jello shots. I don't think I could do this if I hadn't gone through that this evening. It's had a stressful day. See if they wonder. You got swords over here. So many different computer towers, I mean, just, it seems excessive to me. The amount of technology and stuff. And then, of course, I like the strategically placed target practice things. There you go. And old games. It's back here. Someone will be like, I see an Illuminati sign back here. What's that? Let's see. I don't know. Scan. I'm not sure. Something weird. Something catches my eye about this right here. I don't know what that is. The point is, did these look like normal household photos that people would typically have? I mean, you have a lot of these little toys like, Power Rangers and whatnot, and old video games that seem like maybe they were played a lot of parts. I wonder if they took these out and they organized them like that, maybe. Maybe The Matrix. That's interesting, isn't it now? Yeah. If everybody on the higher end of the, conspiracy side or whatever, you're looking at The Matrix and you're just so, fuck yeah, we got that. That's basically all you need to see. I feel you. I do. I mean, I like to be logical and look at facts too, but I definitely feel you on that. So, they're depicting people do go shooting. I mean, people that go shooting aren't murderers. You got gun. They mark this because there's underneath just gun cases and so forth. Hey, Terry Snyder says 411 drywall damaged, unfinished repair behind doorknob and damage. I can only see part of that message. I'm sorry, I just read what it was. But I will catch up on those before I go to bed, probably like when this is uploading. And this will be the last part. I want to put this segment kind of like, as far as putting it out there, to rest. But I'm not putting it to rest. I'm going to be going through the files, and I might revisit it, make another one. Shep, I'm not going to let it go. I just Fuck it. I'm not going to. Everything just gets let go. It's like fucking 9/11. Everything gets let go. All the fucking preposterous stories, all the fuckery, mind fuckery. I don't want to go off on that, okay? No, I don't want to let it go. I don't want to. They're just giving this information to us now. I mean, maybe that's what's confusing. Why am I going over all this now? Well, because they just unloaded a buttload of fucking information about this because they had to, because people were pressing for it. So now it's like, all right, let me take a look at it. And you think they did that for a reason? Maybe they did that now strategically for a reason too, because maybe it distracts us from looking at what's going on with the Las Vegas. Fuck it, let's look at all of it, okay? Let's look at every single piece. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of being lied to. Okay, so here we have our gun bag. And the art, I do think it's interesting to see what these books are in the background and underneath. What are they saying? What are the what's underneath that? What are they trying to say? Not as bad, not as bad. I don't know what. Yeah, like they do this to design a situation for driving people crazy, because this is only something a crazy person would be doing 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Going over Sandy Hook fucking photos, making a video and sharing them with people and saying, look, what's this? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. I mean, this would indicate he's not too bad of a shot. I don't know what range that is. If anyone's ever shot a gun, I mean, it's amazing when you actually shoot. It's not as easy to hit your target as you think. Just especially when distance, at a distance. Just the slightest, you're talking about millimeters off make a huge difference of where that bullet's going to land. So, yeah. Now we go back to the kitchen and the closet. How many more pictures? I really hope. And then all the purses that were kind of like laying around. This was obviously in the closet, but it showed there was like bullets and stuff in them. Like, I want to see, does she wear the hat? I wear hats all the time. I mean, the pictures I saw of her, I'm looking into some of these clothes, and I don't see it, but I don't know. Like, I don't know her style. Be interesting to see who knew her, right? Wasn't she at the school? Most people that work at a school kind of are personable with kids. A lot of them are. I mean, there's times where I'm carrying around bullets. I'm not joking, but generally not like this. I mean, this looks like a purse. She just has extra bullets and like, yeah. Like there's so much firepower laying around this house for this mom and this 20-year-old who has been diagnosed with psychiatric problems, and another son who obviously moved out. There just seems to be a lot of stuff. And then where's Dad this whole time? Oh, you say you want to zoom in? Or if you're still here listening after all this time, then you like pain and suffering, and sure, you say, yeah, fuck yeah, Anna, I want to zoom in. Bitch, show us what's on that bookshelf. Okay, come on, let's look. Let's look and see what's on the bookshelf. Killing Lincoln. What else do we have? Labyrinths. What's that one? We have an astrology book, a geography book. Let's zoom in. What else? The handy physics answer books. See, Adam's supposed to be very big. The dream book, organic chemistry, Baseball for dummies. Oh, because they were showing that baseball. He was in that baseball picture. The Right Stuff. I can't make out that. My eyesight's actually really bad, believe it or not. I have glasses on. I will wear them sometimes, I need to because I've been getting headaches. So I can't really make out. I'm gonna blow it up more. It seems like they get more distorted the more I blow it up, but this don't. That he looks like him. Maybe does that look like him? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe these are supposed to be him, right? I was gonna say, like, where are the other pictures of him? Like when he's younger, because CGI. Okay, I have a couple of people that say he's CGI. Does this look like him? Because that's him and that's his brother. His dad was in an interview recently, when this came out last week, and kind of like Jesus Compost says he's not going to be talking to anybody else. But then someone told me that they're going to not indict Jesus, but he's going to have to talk with people. You would think he would have to. I don't want to go into that, really. So here we have a broken door. I guess this is really kind of like where the feds or whoever had to come in, because, well, after they found out who it was, they went to the house. They went to the house. Makes sense. Redacted. We have see another exterior of the home. You see, it's kind of like up there. It's kind of like off on its own. Nobody goes in, nobody comes out. Miss Lanza didn't let anybody. And I got to look back and see, like, was she divorced? Like when? How soon after did it? How long did they live there? And once upon a time, I think I did look up this information, but it's so much to kind of retain. Who built these homes? I mean, the home has since then been demolished. Link in the description box with that, too. But what about the neighbors? GIS and home sales would suggest that all of these homes were paid for in cash in this little cul-de-sac. I think it was on Christmas. I forget what year. Yep. That doesn't seem ironic or fishy or anything like that, does it? No. Where's the closest neighbor that was actually a real neighbor? Stepford families come to mind. I don't know if you guys caught that one video that I put out there about a community up in, I think it's Connecticut. I forget the name of it now, that does behavioral studies. I mentioned it in a previous video. I have to go back. It's a big organization. 3 degrees of separation from the Podestas. Oh, gosh, it's going to kill me now. I can't think of that name. So obviously, I think this seems like either that morning, like they had just arrived that morning. This is when, early morning they were taking, or the next morning. I don't know if they worked through the night staging the house. I mean, taking the pictures. It's interesting that there's no neighbors out. No one's really looking. No one's really interested. No one knows anything yet, maybe. This is, I think, when they first got there, because I think before I said that you see pictures and the garage door wasn't broken. Maybe this is the next morning, though, and they closed this one, and this one's already broken. Because initially, It wasn't broken. No pictures of them breaking into the house. Not breaking into the house, but you know, the workers, the people that, maybe that's why they redacted it, I guess, maybe for their anonymity, perhaps. Because this kind of goes back to 443. This kind of goes to what you see, that you see this telephone wire that kind of goes upstairs that end up not being plugged in anyway. It's kind of odd. Guess they came in different points of entry, because once you break down the front door, it would seem like you could open up the rest of the doors in the house. I don't know, one would think is these are the pictures when they first came in. This is what it looks like, you know, like they haven't touched anything. Like, what does that look like to you? I mean, that did catch my eye. There are a lot of interesting books, and we went through this in the first one, because again, these photos are out of order, and it gets very blurry. Oh, that was an interesting something right there. Gardens and plants, huh? And did you notice, wait, where's the computer? Because the computer was on the desk now afterwards. It's not there now. In this part 1 pictures, the computer was on that desk. You know, I'm not saying it's a crime for them to move everything or certain things, and that it wouldn't be legitimate, but yeah, the computer's definitely not there now. Maybe this is exactly how it was when they came in. Before they kind of started assembling things, maybe to take photos and to do their, you know, more books. Oh gosh, this is really weird. Okay, because I did a video like a month or 2 ago, and I actually used a picture for my thumbnail that was very similar to that. I just want to see what this book's about. And then you'll notice, like, in all these rooms, someone left this paperwork. I guess maybe they left paperwork because someone was going to come after them to mark things, because you'll see this, like, and I'll point it out, you'll see this, they leave this in every room. What does that say? Okay, so if you look back at my videos, you'll see I have a, is it the one that's called Stop Lying to Me? I forget. How to find out anything. How to find out anything? Well, geez, thank you. I need that book right there. Rethinking depression. Well, I can't zoom in on that anymore. What does that say? These are books that are active, sitting there, like, you know, on the floor. Interesting. But they know they're walking into a crime scene of where the boy, did they know that the mom was, did she not show up for work? For some reason, I'm thinking were they on break already? No. The staff? Oh no, that's right. They weren't on break. Okay, kitchen. Everything seems, you know, some people mention certain things about the kitchen, the toe kicks. You guys are sharp. You guys, you know, catch up on things too. Everything's so pristine. White, cream color. Yeah, and then you have your interesting things like the cup on the floor here. And the taper on the door. And someone had mentioned about they had lived in somewhere cold and they never taped. Yeah. You know, she probably wasn't real handy. The boys didn't look real handy either. I mean, but if I someone who can, you know, a female who's efficient in using a weapon. Now, I'm not really efficient. I mean, I can fire a weapon and know how to use a shotgun and know how to use my revolvers. I know a little bit about, you know, weapons. I work on equipment all the time. There's a certain aptitude level for people who do certain things. And that tape job doesn't, that tape job would go with somebody who would look at maybe a spider and scream or something. Do you know? Can you follow me on that one? Anyway, again, inconsistencies, basically. You know, boxes on the floor with obscure electronics and stuff laying on them is just out of place. And it's not just once. That's the thing. It's not just like once in one. It's like everywhere. It's like a common theme throughout the entire house. Here's that paper. Remember I said before, there's like these papers left. Like one team went through and did some report or whatever. And here's the paper left for that room. Here's the paper left for this room. You know, for whatever report needs to be done. And here's the paper left for the garage. You know, I'm sure that's just part of like the process, I would think. But here's the paper left for the laundry room. And it's probably just here's the paper left for here. You know, they finished their job and they obviously were leaving the next people, here you go, what they have to do. I don't know what that means. I don't know, but obviously it means something, because here's the paper left here. It's like left in every photo. Does anybody know what that is? I mean, is anybody familiar with this FBI process, a crime scene? I mean, are these the same papers, different papers? Can I see those papers? Can I see what's on those papers? Like, do we have the original papers? Are those papers in here someplace? Is it scanned? Because I would think that that would be great information to have. Whatever was written on here, I'd like to know. I would. Matrix. I would like to know. Armored vehicles past to present. That's what that says. And, you know, I swear he did all his gaming before he lost his mind, or as he was, you know, losing his mind. There's the papers left there over there. A lot of things, again, seem dated. Here are the papers here. Seem dated, but, oh gosh, finally we have some dust on for there on that. Here we have our papers. Seemed like this is like when they first came in, because everything seems more intact here. The water bottle, everything's kind of shoved up in there. Did they take the computer apart? Let's see where that computer tower is, because I don't remember seeing these ones in the first 667 group. You see that tower is not here. Did they take the tower apart? You know, the computer tower that we went over in the first segment. Okay, here's Adam's room. Because there's some stuff here now, right? And obviously, they took the sheets off his bed. Maybe they write what they did, because then they leave it, you know, because he did have his bed made in the first one. And they took his school kid shooter clothes out of his closet over there, apparently. In his closet, that, you know, it seems like they moved some books around there. Practical Shooting. That book looks so old, doesn't it? Practical Shooting for what, 1974? The Glock in Competition. These books look really kind of old. I don't know. I'm just saying, they do. Now they've taken all this clothes out. I don't think they taped the windows. I'm pretty sure those windows were taped like that. They set these all here. Earlier, you seen they were all hanging in the closet, you know. Psychotic kids' clothes type things. Here's our paper. It's close enough where we can kind of zoom in and see what that's about. Yeah, it gets distorted. And, yeah, I sure can't. Yeah, I sure can't make that out. It's too distorted at that level of zoom. So I don't know. Maybe maybe someone else has better better equipment or something. And if you click on the link in the description box, you'll be able to see it and know what that is. I can't pick that up from here. It's too small. So, and here's the paperwork here. So in every single room, oops, was that paperwork up there? Looks like there's something, that was that notebook maybe. Yeah, that was that notebook up there. And there's our paperwork here. So, and then here's our paperwork in here for that bathroom. And then are we going to end up with the bedroom? See, I don't have that here. And I really wanted to show you that last one because I think it's important. I do. I think the crime scene pictures from the 667 were important. Oh, here are the autopsy pictures. Yeah, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure like what that these came out from, like what these were supposed to have come out from, but that's in a separate file within that file, because you have to kind of like go to the FBI page or the link page and then like download all the different files, which I mean I have done, and I think that's the only picture in with that group. This primary section 4 here, and that's the 472. While I am just, where is the 667? That's where, so maybe I'm going to pause this and then find it so that I don't keep you guys waiting here. Okay, so pause it. Okay, so if I did that right, this picked back up, and okay, so I went back into the files that I had saved before that was 600, up to 667, and this basically brings us back to where we were in the other one. And so that's 661. This shows the room. Again, it's a different variation of the same photos. I don't want to go backwards. I just want to kind of roll up to, we see our paperwork, and these are the ones we went through just before, where we see the papers that are left everywhere, like here. And the papers that are left here. The papers that are left here. You can see them in every room. We have it there. They show the door that was broken in. You know, we see the cords, the wires that are going upstairs, telephone wires, the door, the front door that was obviously broken in. It looks like the morning time. You see, it does. It looks like, I don't know, or late morning, perhaps, doesn't it? Or is it early evening? Obviously. And there are more pictures than with this. And the door. That's kind of a creepy picture, huh? They're outside. I'm going kind of backwards. And that was what I did in the one that I didn't narrate it. I went backwards. Yeah, I didn't see these ones when they went through all their stuff. Current English. And they actually opened up. These ones I think were more interesting in some regards for that information. But just gun stuff looks like laying around there, right? And you'll find these so closer up of the games. They went through to see the games. Rock band. It's interesting how they broke these up. You know, a lot of these, like I said before, this is the first collection that I had looked through before when I decided I wanted to do these, just to kind of show you guys what it was. And a lot of these aren't in. Wonder if they did that. Is that what they typically do, is take computers apart? I'm going to go back up to 625 though, because I was going the wrong way, because there's only 667, and I just think it's important to show the crime scene room, because it just, again, it just doesn't look right to me, and then that's where I'm going to leave it off at. Which, there's only a few. That's his room. That's going over. That's the bathroom. That would be her bathroom. And then this is the bedroom. So obviously we have the paper left here. And can I zoom in on this? So that must have been her laying there, you know, in the bed at that point. I don't know. It seems like, I'm not an expert, but everything was just contained right there on the bed. I think that it was, do they show another one for the floor? We had just like a little bit of blood on the pillow here. Nothing else is disturbed. I don't know. I don't have any experience with that, thank God. So, you know, then they show back in the kitchen, and it's a lot of bottled water on the floor. They're the brothers. Yeah, they're the brothers. So that's pretty much the photos of the Sandy Hook. Again, bedroom of Adam Lanza, who his mother was said never to clean, and different room in the house for where the guns were all kept. They're just kind of like laying around. This is the condition of the room and of the house right after. Something weird's going on. Something very weird's going on. Okay, so I'm glad we got through that. And that is it. Thank you for your links, descriptions, information, assessments that you made along with me. And I hope everybody has a good night. Bye.